Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. I'm Vittorio Campanile. With me, maybe, Alasdair McKenzie. Are you there, Alasdair?
I'm here for now. I've been let down by my internet company this week, and so I'm trying to do this off my phone, but as long as you can hear me, then we're okay. But maybe it's better if you can't hear me anyway.
Look, if Lazio wins all the time 4-2, then I'm happy that you have all the time internet issue, to be honest. I think you'll agree with me.
Yeah, well, trying to watch the first half of that game with intermittent internet problems and cutting out, it was an absolute nightmare. It made it even more stressful than it was normally.
Yeah. Again, it has been an incredible match, very, very strange. And this is not the first time that happened for Lazio, but I thought the intensity of Lazio tonight was astonishing, even because we said in the past week that the team looked tired. There was some fatigue in them. Instead, today everybody ran from the first second to the last. It was, I don't know if the best performance of Lazio in the last 2 months or so, but I think so. One of the top three, absolutely, if not.
Yeah, I suppose the problem is that there's still the issue of giving away goals too easily and too cheaply, which I'm sure people will have pointed out to us on Twitter. It's just the fact that obviously in these European matches, away goals are so vital. Now, clearly we can outscore most teams because we've got the attacking potential to do that. But I think to come away and say we've conceded 2 away goals isn't great, but the fact that we've got a 2-goal cushion does make this a really good result. So yeah, I am still happy with it, and I know people will be unhappy about that aspect of the game, but yeah, I thought it was a very different kind of performance from Lazio. We've seen this team all season long passing out from the back, taking possession in games and kind of dictating the tempo, but today they seemed set up to basically soak up pressure from Salzburg, let them play with a high line and play a much more direct game. It was quite an interesting way that I thought Inzaghi did things tactically today.
Yes, I agree, and I think the reason why is because Salzburg is a very different team from all the others Lazio played against, and Lazio had to vary a little bit the tactics, and I think it was even good because we said it often, Lazio struggle with a team that comes to the Olimpico and put the bus in front of the goal. Instead, Salzburg is a team that tried to play football, and they had this very, very high line of defense that put in trouble a couple of times Ciro Immobile. But at the same time, I thought in the second half they pay massively for this decision with Felipe Anderson punishing them and Lucas Leiva as well. So I really enjoyed the match. And you were talking about the 2 goals, yes, but now let's be honest. The penalty was embarrassing. The referee behind the goal gave it because the referee didn't see it, and I mean, 1 minute afterwards it was even worse in the Salzburg penalty area, and the ref didn't give it. And the second one was a bit of luck because the striker didn't want to pass the ball, and instead it was a perfect assist to the Japanese who just came in, that was in front of Strakosha. So yeah, it's bad to concede 2 goals, but I think tonight there is plenty of excuse.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, you're right. It was especially the refereeing decision. It's something that the fans are incredibly frustrated about by this stage of the season, is the refereeing decisions that have gone against us, and to see it happening in Europe as well. You could really tell how personally the players seem to be taking these calls now. And I was just saying to you just before we came on air that I thought it was really encouraging that they came out in the second half and delivered the performance they did, because they seemed to be really rattled by it at the end of the half, at half-time, after there was a claim on Luis Alberto, and then the players were crowding around the referee and Inzaghi had to come onto the pitch to stop them. And I was worried at that point that it was affecting them mentally a bit more than it really should have. But whatever Inzaghi said to them at halftime worked, and they managed to come back out and put in a mature display, and like you say, in the end, come away with a good cushion to take to Austria next week.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I thought there were a couple of bad decisions of the referee, apart from that penalty, that created a little bit of problems to the Lazio players. But it was really fundamental, crucial to sit back, relax a little bit, and concentrate on the match and forget all the mistakes about the referee, because at that point it could cost you the match. Instead, Lazio started the second half even better than the first one, and immediately found the goal and start pushing a lot. So I don't know what Inzaghi did, but it was fundamental to relax the team that, at the end of the first half was really, really too nervous against the referee. You could understand seeing what happened this season to Lazio, but the big teams have to forget what happened and concentrate to finish the match at the best, like they did tonight.
Yeah, and I suppose channeling those negative or emotions or the anger into something positive. And Marco Parolo was one of the guys who was booked for arguing with the referee. I think it was just before half time, and then he comes on and scores one of the best goals he's scored for a long time at the start of the second half. And I thought actually tonight it was really encouraging in the same way that we did against Benevento on Saturday. But Salzburg are a big step up from Benevento, clearly, but Lazio managed to deliver the same way in terms of at a certain stage of the match they just put their foot on the accelerator, and it got to it's the last couple of games we've seen that aspect of Lazio's game again, where we're capable of just stepping it up and being absolutely devastating in attack when we get the opportunities. And to see that 2 games in a row now is really encouraging, because for quite some time in the last few months it's been a problem, is that we've not been as dangerous as we had been toward in the opening months of the season. But that seems to be coming back, and I think once you've scored 10 goals in 2 games, you're in a pretty good position to feel confident about continuing along those lines.
It's funny because I think Parolo scored the 300 goal of Lazio in Europe. They just showed the graphic on Sky. The first one was of Chinaglia. The number 100 was of Simone Inzaghi. Funny. And I don't know if you saw the Milan derby yesterday, but pretty much where Icardi missed the incredible goal Parolo scored, it was very similar, the chances Parolo scored had today. So
Parolo's a better striker than Icardi.
You said it. But yes, it's encouraging how Lazio played the second half. It's encouraging how all the team played. I thought they all step up. I thought Pasta didn't play very well, and when he came out, I think Lazio had a better match. I was saying, watching the first half, that seeing how Salzburg was defending so high, I thought, well, this is the perfect match for Felipe Anderson, because if you give him space behind, then he can be really dangerous. And in fact, that's what happened when he came in. I thought he changed the match.
It seemed actually as a bit of a surprise to me once I'd kind of worked out the strategy Inzaghi was going for. It seemed surprising to me that Anderson wouldn't have started, because, I mean, the number of times tonight that Immobile was caught offside, Milinkovic-Savic was offside, because they were constantly trying to break in behind that high line, the Salzburg defence. And that was clearly a tactic, and it wasn't really working because they weren't timing the runs properly. But yeah, I think using Anderson's pace, it would have seemed like he would be slightly better suited to that alongside Immobile to cause that danger on the counter-attack. So yeah, I mean, perhaps Alberto is the one who can actually supply the passes, so that might have had an impact on the selection as well.
Yeah, you can you put on the bench Luis Alberto without regretting? And even tonight, he made a couple of assists, so he can be fundamental in other ways. There are different players, but it's good to have this option. You have Luis Alberto in the first half, and then when he gets a little bit tired, you put Felipe Anderson or the other way around. So that's a very good option.
What were your thoughts about Milinkovic-Savic tonight?
I wanted to come to talk about this. He didn't play great. I expected much more from him tonight. I thought this could be his match. Physically, he could make the difference. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't Milinkovic-Savic.
Well, I think that's been a problem for quite some time now. In terms of this dip of form, I think he's one of the players who's been the most affected by it. It's just little things, I suppose, in terms of the way he asserts himself in the game. His decision making isn't always right, and he also had a brilliant chance on the header and didn't punish Salzburg with it.
Yeah.
So I was gonna. The reason I brought it up is because I wasn't too impressed with him tonight, actually,
No.
and it's a shame because there are so many kind of signs of recovery and improvement from what's been a fairly bad spell, but I've not really seen it from him yet.
No. It's true that he came back after a month, so maybe he wasn't fit enough. But tonight, probably the two worst Lazio players were Basta and Milinkovic-Savic. Now, don't stop the podcast after you hear this. But tonight, when Ramos did that sliding tackle, it reminded me of the young Nesta.
Oh God!
No?
Well, you've just doomed his career by making that comparison. I know what you mean. The majestic slide tackle was.
He did it twice.
Nesta's game, and he did a couple of really nice ones.
Yeah.
It's a risky tactic, but his judgment, his anticipation is brilliant, and that's something that's really stood out actually since he's been integrated into the team. Is his timing in the tackle is generally very good.
Yeah, and he's progressing match after match. He's playing even every time better, and tonight he was perfect. And Salzburg is a very fast team, so you have to be very careful when you make that tackle, because if you don't get the ball, then it's a yellow card, and he was perfect tonight. A couple of questions from Twitter. Philip Pezzano, it really was. I really enjoyed the atmosphere. It was nice to see a good crowd. Yes, there was like 45,000 people tonight. And I don't know if everybody was aware, but if you had a Sky Italia subscription, you could have a discount, a 50% discount for the ticket tonight. So they say that nearly 9,000 Sky subscribers got the ticket tonight, so that helped. But it was good finally to have so many Lazio fans at the stadium tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And, sitting here and as you see things kind of come in on Twitter, one of the things has been Felipe Anderson coming out straight after the game and saying that the crowd played a huge part and it was like a 12th man, which is a football cliche, but at the same time it must motivate the players massively to see the crowd double in size for big games like this. So it's an obvious thing. There's not really much more to say about it. The more people in the stadium, the better. So it's encouraging to see them take it seriously.
Especially when they chant like that from the first minute to the last one. That's really important. If you are, I've been to Old Trafford and fans are very quiet there, so they don't really make a big impact. Instead, when they're chanting like that really helps the player, especially because they did it in the critical moment, right after the penalty, after the second goal, and that helped the players. Still, Felipe Anderson deserves credit. This last month he makes the difference. Yes, I thought he stepped up and he's playing really, really well. Tonight, I thought Salzburg defense was perfect match for him, but in general, he's playing much better.
Yeah, I think we were praising him on Saturday as well, or Sunday Sunday. saying a similar thing, I suppose. He's since the whole drama of him being dropped from the squad and being disciplined for his behaviour and his attitude, he's come back and been absolutely crucial for Lazio and supplied a lot of goals and assists since he's been reintegrated into the team. And some weeks he'll play and some weeks he won't. And he wasn't starting tonight, but Inzaghi's made it pretty clear that he's got these three players in Milinkovic, Savic, Alberto and Anderson, and he can't have all three on the pitch at the same time. So I think that's particularly at this stage of the season where they will be tired. I don't think that's going to cause too many problems, and it's actually it's a great option to have, and tonight was a good example of that you can bring on a guy with that talent from the bench and he immediately makes an impression.
Yes. Again, the problem with Felipe Anderson is when he comes from the bench, he doesn't click immediately when he comes in the pitch. He takes a couple of 5-10 minutes, and sometimes you don't have that time to react to start playing football. So tonight it was good because he switched and scored immediately. On the other side, I don't know if you noticed, Luis Alberto wasn't very happy to come off. He was quite annoyed, and I don't know to who he was speaking, but said, always me. He takes off, always me. But, I mean, it was an obvious thing, If you bring on Felipe Anderson in this type of situation, you have to take off Luis Alberto. I think there are not other options.
No, I mean, I suppose the other option would be to take off. He might have been thinking that Milinkovic Savic hadn't played as well as him. Perhaps he could have dropped back into midfield. But yeah, I don't know. It does worry me slightly when you see those kind of reactions, because like I just said, it's a clear policy of rotation, and Alberto's still the guy who's been starting these games. So I don't think he has any real grounds on which to complain about it.
Yeah. It was good that afterwards he seems more relaxed. Probably he wanted to give more when Lazio wasn't winning still. So maybe after the goals he relaxed a little bit. Other questions? Let me check. Ibrahim Albeiti. I don't know where the referee comes from. What bad decision? I want him to see the match again. I think he was Romanian. But yeah, we said the decision was really bad. Again, the question is, which goal is amazing, Parolo or Anderson? I will say Anderson. I thought they were both great. The Felipe Anderson is, the speed, the skills he has. But Parolo is the type of midfielder who knows when he has to get in the box, and he's always there to score.
I prefer Parolo's goal, I think. Anderson's was great, but I think the defending was terrible for it as well, because he essentially just ran in a straight line. And yeah, he was quick and he got past three defenders by doing that. But I don't know, just the technical brilliance of Parolo's one. And especially from a player like him, who's capable of that, but you don't really see him pull it off too often. I thought that was... it's great to see players like him bring out moments like that. And also, I'd just like to say as well, actually, that for the Immobile goal, every time Immobile scores, everyone brings up his record this season, which has been phenomenal, and how many goals he scored, more than Kinali and all the rest of it, and he deserves immense credit for it. But I think as a result of that, it was overlooked a little bit what Lucas Leiva did for that goal, which was basically create the entire thing. He wins the ball high up in midfield, and he doesn't look to get rid of it straight away. He carries it up to the edge of the box. He provides the assist, and Lucas Leiva we've been praising a lot recently because he's been brilliant, but that was another brilliant attacking moment from him.
Yes, it was at a certain time of the second half. Salzburg was unable to restart the action. Every time they was trying to pass the ball from the defense, there was Lucas Leiva there stripping the ball and starting a counter-attack for Lazio. I thought he was really great. He had another great performance tonight. I think really more the time passed, more I'm happy about the signing of Lucas Leiva. Really great player and great experience.
I got a comment on Twitter here I was wanting to get your opinion on. Gianni DeFranco saying, "I was going to write to you, finally praising De Vrij, but his defending fell apart on the second goal in the wrong spot watching." Would you agree with that?
I thought so. Let's make it clear. De Vrij is a very good defender, but has it's not perfect. I think he struggles a little bit when he's 1-on-1 against a striker, especially if the striker is small and fast. He tends, and this happened a lot last season, to forget his man. That's why I'm saying with the three-man defense, he played much better, because the other two are the marking defender. He's sort of sweeper that comes in the tackle or in the last solution. And so, when he's man-to-man, he sometimes make mistakes like it happened tonight. But again, that was a lot of luck, because I think the ball hit another Lazio defender and went to a Salzburg player. So it was really lucky, or unlucky for Lazio.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's just one of those horrible moments where, it was kind of pinball, really, and the ball ended up where it did. And it's really horrible to concede those goals, and perhaps it should have been dealt with better. But yeah, I don't know. I'd probably need to see it again, but I wouldn't pinpoint him for particular criticism.
I thought again, Radu was perfect again tonight. And Ramos, I said it already, he was another great performance from him. And I like that instead of going backwards, after you realize you are a starter in a big team, you start to a little bit, feel the pressure. Instead, he's playing every day better, every much better. And again, tonight wasn't easy, especially, the situation, the penalty, the score after Lazio was dominating and you're back to all. But I thought Lazio and Ramos and Radu was perfect tonight.
Yeah, his judgment was really good. There was a pretty hairy moment where Strakosha didn't come out for the ball when you really expected him to, and Radu did well to deal with that. Well, a couple of just really good late clearances, interceptions, but yeah, he's a real unsung hero in this team, actually, and I think it makes a big difference when he's in the team and when he's not. But he's not one of these guys who's going to be hitting the headlines with his performances, but he's so reliable and consistent. And I think you're right. I think he's reached a new level of performance this season that perhaps we didn't really get from him in a back four, which is where he's been until Inzaghi arrived.
Yeah, I agree. Probably that's the best spot for him to play.
Yeah,
on the center left of a three-line defense.
Seems to be it.
Yeah, I was surprised because, everybody, let's not forget that Salzburg doesn't lose in Europe, I think, 2 years that they don't lose in Europe. So this have to tell that this is an extraordinary result. People can say they didn't play against big team, but they beat Borussia Dortmund last time. So, and Borussia isn't an easy match, But the pace Lazio played tonight was incredible. I thought the pace and midfield didn't commit that many mistakes. When you play that fast, you can make mistakes, miss balls, miss passing. Instead, even Lulic, that usually make a couple of bad passes, was perfect tonight.
Yeah, I think when you're playing that strategy of looking to move the ball forward quickly, you always will make mistakes because you're not going to have a perfect through ball every time, or else you'd be winning every game 16-0. So I think you have to allow for mistakes when you are playing that style and with that aggression. But I think it's particularly impressive considering how tired this team is and how many games they've had. The guys who've been away on international break have still been playing another couple of games. So to go into a game like this and play at such high intensity is pretty impressive. I hope we don't see any knock-on effects of that on Sunday against Udinese, but it was it was clearly the way that Inzaghi knew he had to approach this game, and they delivered for him. And actually, by the end of the game, I didn't see too many people out there who I thought they look exhausted. I think they looked okay, which is, very encouraging, considering, yeah.
I thought Immobile was knackered. In fact, he came off. But yeah, the other play, especially the midfielders, they run so much tonight that I thought they could be really, really tired. Instead, even Lulic was still able to run. Another thing we didn't say, again, Marusic was injured tonight, so Lukaku wasn't fit. Again, Inzaghi didn't have that many options on the wings. And this, it looks like to be a recurring problem for Lazio. And it's funny because this summer we were saying that one of the position that is safe for Lazio is that, Lazio has 2 or 3 options there instead. Again, tonight we were struggling. Basta didn't play that well. I'm happy how Patrick came in because he had a very good match. But, probably Lazio have to think about something else next season because especially if Lukaku and Marusic are often injured, they have to find a different solution.
I didn't mind Basta too much tonight. I thought that he was one, like I was just talking about, when he was one who was constantly trying to get the early balls and get the forward balls, but his passing and his crossing generally wasn't accurate enough, but he was kind of creating the right ideas, which is something. Patrick came on and made a good impact as well and actually came pretty close to scoring at the end. So, I don't know, between the three of him, Basta, Patrick and Marusic, the thing is, I don't think there's an awful lot between the three of them now. It's in terms of the level we're getting from them. So I suppose on the one hand that makes it easier to rotate, but it doesn't. I don't know. For really big games, there's no one obvious who stands out for me as being the guy who has to be starting.
I thought Basta were often too much behind. He should have been a little bit further to push the Salzburg defense on that side, which Patrick did better. But I didn't like that much Basta. And I'm not saying because of the penalty. I thought it was never a penalty. But after the assist of the first goal, he pretty much didn't do nothing right. So that's why I'm saying that I wasn't pleased. But again, tonight you didn't have... Patrick was the only option available because the other were injured. So that's a problem, especially if you play with a 3-5-2 like Lazio's doing.
Yeah. Can I just bring up?
No.
Having just said that everyone was talking about Ciro Immobile's stats, I've just seen a really good one, so I want to mention it. So he became the 9th all-time Lazio scorer tonight, 63 goals, which is the same as Miroslav Klose, but Ciro's got 63 goals from 81 matches, whereas Klose took 171 matches to get 63. That's amazing. 63 and 81. That's an absolutely incredible record.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really unbelievable. And tonight, again, he had a couple of chances and scored. So he's always there. He has to be a little bit more careful with the offside tonight, because Salzburg defense was really high and really trying to put on offside Immobile on every chance, and they did often. But again, another great performance from Ciro. And what about Caicedo? I know you wanted to say a stat last time that you forgot, but I don't know if you check the replay on the header of Caicedo. He nearly scored, but the goalkeeper hit it with the head. It's incredible,
That would only happen to Caicedo. Poor Caicedo. Yeah, he was good. Yeah, I'll mention this now because I completely forgot on Sunday and I was devastated about it.
You couldn't sleep.
Yeah, I know. After his goal against Benevento, he became the top Ecuadorian goal scorer in Italy of all time with 5 goals. So there you go. He's a record holder. I have to say, the fact that he scored 5 goals to reach that record goes to show that he wasn't up against much competition. I've forgotten the name of the guy he overtook, but he played for Perugia, I think, in the late 90s.
I think.
Is that it? Right? Okay. And I think he'd only had 1 season at Perugia, so...
I thought Caviedes was a nice player. I don't know what happened. He got injured, probably, because he started well the season. Then I don't know. I don't remember. Alexander Mikkelsen on Twitter. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just going to pick up on that about Caicedo and actually answer the question seriously. And I thought he was good again. I thought he made a good impact. I was really impressed with him on Sunday, and he didn't have much time to do anything tonight, but what he did do, I thought he did well.
Yes, and you can see the team spirit, right? Because you can see that everybody that comes in always start and give everything they have, and it was nice to see. Now, I don't remember what happened. I think it was Felipe Anderson or someone else who recovered a ball in midfield. And there were Caicedo and Nani that was warming up because one had to come in. And they both cheered Felipe Anderson for recovering that ball. They are fighting in a certain way against them to find a spot in the team. And they were still there cheering another player. So that's cool, and that tells you how... it's a solid group, and that's why I think that's the reason why Lazio is playing that well, because the group is all heading in the same direction. The team is all united.
Yeah, well, apart from Luis Alberto. No, I'm joking. Hopefully that was nothing. But and I think as well, in the moments where there has been, the risk of the team not being united, Inzaghi's dealt with it really well in terms of Lulic. Earlier in the season, coming off and screaming at him, not being happy about being substituted, and also the way he dealt with the Felipe Anderson situation. So I think whenever there are these kind of, even the suggestion of being problems in the dressing room, Inzaghi seems like he's such a popular guy and he gets across so well to the players that he knows how to deal with it.
Yes. Alexander Mikkelsen on Twitter, very impressed by the team in the second half. Went off the first half infuriated, but came back totally concentrated and ready to play good football. Good job by Inzaghi. We saw exactly the opposite against Torino, where we never came back mentally after Immobile's red card. Yes, it's even true that there we were 10 men down, so it was even a different situation. Here we were still 11 against 11. So, but yeah, I think Inzaghi is still a young manager, and he can learn from experience, and I think he learned the lesson, and I was really pleased to see him stepping in the pitch at the end of the first half and pushing all the players away to stop discussing with the referee. And you only get a red card there, so it's nothing useful. It's not that the referee change his mind and take off the penalty or something like that. He already gave it, and it's useless to discuss.
It's one of these things that I kind of wonder if you need to be a professional footballer to understand that, because they all do it, and they all, the guys who get booked for dissent and come back and continue screaming at referees, I just don't understand it. It's like you say, they're not going to change their mind about the decisions. So, but I think the comparison there that was made is a good one in terms of the reaction to a bad decision against Torino versus tonight. I suppose the Immobile red card was perhaps a more devastating decision than conceding a goal. But even so, I think the team has just basically got used to bad decisions by now, because there's been so many this season, and they've realised that the best way to react to it is to come back fighting and win the game.
You know what? I thought it was more infuriating seeing all that faults, all that kicks that Salzburg did, and no one get a yellow card in the first half. I thought if it was Serie A, I mean, there were at least 5 players of Salzburg with a yellow card. They made so many fouls, especially on Ciro Immobile, that that was more infuriating than the penalty given to Salzburg, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then he goes and yellow cards one of their players for handball when it wasn't
Yeah,
really a handball.
yeah,
It just bounced off him. Yeah, it's a bit of a confusing one that tonight from the referee.
yeah. Carlo Garganese tweeted at the end of the first half, "This is Brian Moreno-like refereeing in Lazio-Salzburg game. The worst 45 minutes of refereeing I have ever seen in years." Now, maybe that's too much, but I totally agree. In the first half, the referee was simply terrible. And the thing I don't understand is, you make mistakes because you're bad, but how is it possible that you make mistake only against one team, you know? That's something I still don't understand. Maybe, you get so annoyed because that team continue to go out against your decision all the time that you're, encouraged to give them another free kick afterwards. I don't know.
I don't know. There's no explanation for these things. I don't think we're going to find one.
No, probably you're right. But, 4-2, it's not finished. There is a return in Austria in 1 week, so it's not going to be... It's good to have 2 goals, but it's not over. It's not finished. So Lazio must be very careful. Obviously, you score there, things changes, but you have to score.
Yeah. How do you see things going on Sunday in terms of rotation? Do you think that the team's going to be mixed up a lot?
I think you have to, especially because it's 6:00 the match against Udinese. So I think there's going to be a little bit of rotation.
I have one concern really, which is that the temptation's going to be to rotate to freshen things up, and also Udinese are on a really bad run at the moment. I think they've lost 6 games in a row, but I am worried that there's perhaps a bit of a chance for them to be underestimated, or maybe not as focused as they should be.
Yes, I totally agree, and you said it. I think there are 7 matches in a row they lost, so they're gonna be really, really focused to stop this terrible series and try to at least get 1 point. So I think it's gonna be a very tough match for Lazio, especially because it's Thursday night now. It's nearly midnight, and Lazio is gonna play in less than 3 days. So tomorrow probably the players are going to rest, and they're going to have only Saturday to train and prepare the match. So, it's difficult. I think Inzaghi has to rotate the team, but has to be very clever. Maybe you can start Felipe Anderson and Casado in front. Maybe Milinkovic-Savic can play. Maybe Murgia instead of Parolo. But, not too many changes, because we saw that when you change too many players and you have only one training to do this, to prepare the match, then it's very dangerous.
Yeah, and then on top of that is Odo and Zari against their old team, so they'll certainly be wanting to prove a point as well. There's a good subplot there as well.
Yeah, as usual, I would say, against Lazio. So.
Yeah.
And then on Thursday, you have... the match against Salzburg, that it's really important. Again, it's not finished. You have to go there and be careful. We said it. We said it before last week that this was, from now on, it was a very difficult run. A lot of tough matches, one after the other. So, it's not going to be easy for Lazio. And here you're going to understand if the team it's good enough. If you have enough subs, quality subs to make it up for everything.
Yeah, and all of this as well leading up to the derby. So it's a massive 10 days coming up, and obviously that the derby is the derby and will always be one of the biggest matches of the season for obvious reasons. But this time we've also got the Champions League question hanging over it as well, so it's going to be huge. I mean, I suppose the one good thing, even though they're playing on different nights, is that Roma also have their own European adventure going on, and they're also going to have to travel. And well, they've travelled this week, but they're also going to have to deal with that and work around that in terms of their training. So at least it's not just us.
Yes, and they have to play against Barcelona, and even if it's going to be tough for them to pass, they have to put, I think, the best team, because otherwise, if you put the subs against Barcelona, you can be destroyed. And I don't think that Di Francesco wants to lose 7-0 again, So I think for a different reason, they are forced to put the starter against Barcelona, even if they are virtually out. But, it's going to be important because they have a very complicated match as well.
I don't think they ever want to lose 7-0. They just like to make a habit of it. So.
Yes, but, against Barcelona, if you put the subs, then you're in big danger.
Oh, yes. So, I mean, yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, yeah, 4-1 down from the first leg, and so the tie is effectively over for them. But, yeah, I think you're right. I think they have to at least, put out a strong performance to apologise to the fans, or to represent themselves properly in the Champions League stage. So, yeah, I think you're right. That's quite a good point, actually.
Thank you. Thank you. Inzaghi spoke to Sky Sport. He said that we could even score more. We nearly scored other times with Caicedo, Milinkovic, Patrick, and Immobile. But we were playing against a tough team that lost only one match in 46 this season. And only 5 goals they allowed in Europa League. Wow, that's huge. So pretty much Lazio scored in one night pretty much all the goals Salzburg allowed in the rest of the Europa League campaign. That's not bad. But against Salzburg, it would be difficult because they have their fans and they are very good. Now we have to celebrate this victory, but we have to think about next match against Udinese, and then we have Salzburg, and then the derby.
Yeah, well, we have to say happy birthday to Simone Inzaghi as well.
Yes, and he's celebrating 2 years as Lazio manager as well.
Today?
I think it was yesterday.
Yesterday? Huh.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Yesterday I asked if he was the best manager in the Lotito era. What do you think? I thought he was.
Well, I think he's definitely there's a very strong argument for him. I mean, I suppose the counter argument here, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I expect what people might say is that he hasn't won anything yet of note. So you'd point to Petkovic winning the Coppa Italia, perhaps Stefano Pioli getting to the Champions League, finishing third. But Inzaghi, what he's managed to do here is have 2 seasons of high quality in a row. And that's something that neither of those managers managed to do. And it's something that basically nobody under Lotito has managed to do. Well, not for a long time anyway. So I think it's the first time for quite a while we've had a coach who seems to have got his own philosophy right, got his selection right, and we're seeing the rewards of that, and it actually does feel like a long-term project at the moment, which is something that it hasn't felt like with previous coaches. He said whether he's the best, I think we'll have to wait until the end of this season to make that judgment, but he's definitely my favourite, that's for sure. I mean, he's probably the most popular manager who we've had under Lotito.
Well, I think he's the best because Pioli had a great season, Petkovic had a great season, but then the second season was terrible for both of them. While Inzaghi had a very good season, first season, and now he's having probably even better season. He won a trophy against Juventus, let's not forget it. So, I think Pioli and Petkovic had 1 season, while Inzaghi is 2. So I think that's the reason why he's, for me, he's the best manager in the Lotito era. Obviously, I would be the best one, but Lotito didn't choose me, so I have to vote for Simone Inzaghi there.
Not yet.
Yeah.
That's what this podcast project is just leading towards.
Shh. Don't reveal my plan. By the way, Alasdair, I'm a little bit surprised. Europe League, the official account of Europe League, just tweeted Europe League Player of the Week. There is Aaron Ramsey, Griezmann, Werner, and Senad Lulic. Now, he played well, but come on. Lulic? Really? Are you serious?
Unless they're trying to take the not so obvious ones, I'm not too sure. Yeah, that's a strange choice if you're going to pick one player from each game. I mean, I also saw earlier that WhoScored.com, who obviously, if anyone doesn't know about them, do statistical analysis of big matches and of big leagues, and they put out their highest rating player ratings of the whole night in the Europa League of the 4 quarterfinals, and Lucas Leiva was the highest rated player of anyone across all 4 games tonight. And again, yeah, I thought he had a good game and he played well, but I was quite surprised by that.
Well, I think, if you put together the tackles he had, the ball he recovers, the assists he made, I thought he had a complete game. And yes, it's not the first time he's done it this season. So, yeah, I don't know if the Liverpool fans are regretting watching what Lucas Leiva is doing at Lazio.
I don't know. They won the Champions League quarter-final 3-0 last night, so they're probably fairly happy with how
They said they would do it every time if they beat City 3-0. By the way, it's the second time that Klopp beats Guardiola, so he knows how to beat him. And
interesting.
I don't know. It's so funny to see Salah scoring so many goals. I remember in the past he was so good, but in front of the keeper all the time, missing it badly. And now suddenly he become a striker. What's going on? Are the English goalkeeper not good?
I don't know. I mean, I think he's a player who actually really suits the Premier League, but just never really got much of an opportunity at Chelsea. But he's not the only player who's struggled to thrive at Chelsea under Mourinho. I mean, look at Kevin De Bruyne, what he's been doing this season, for example. So, I don't know, yeah, but he has developed massively this year. I think it has been quite surprising. He was a good player for Roma, but I think he's really gone on to another level now.
Yeah, especially because, as I said, he was really good, but in front of the keeper, he was always missing it. He was always putting it wide. Now instead, he's scoring all the time, so that's the biggest difference. But, that changed the football. If you score and you win matches. So.
Yeah, well, if you're talking about players who got in the great positions and failed to score, it just makes me think of Keita Balde again.
Well, he improved. He improved in the last years, but yeah, that was probably his weaknesses. And again, Felipe Anderson have improved on that side because we saw him doing this type of things in the past, but all the time in front of the keeper he was maybe shooting too slow, putting it wide. Instead, tonight he was perfect again. And this is something that happened regularly this season, so it looks like he's improved there as well.
Yeah, well, the benefit of having a former striker as a coach, probably.
Yeah, you think so? You think that's Inzaghi skill set?
I don't know. I like to think he challenges them to kind of shooting competitions and training every day, but probably not.
Were you surprised about the bench? Because we had on the bench Felipe Anderson, Nani, Caseido. Murcia was the only midfielder available, and Bastos was the only central defender available. Wallace wasn't called for this match. Were you a little bit surprised?
By the substitutions that were made, or by
no, the players available?
Not entirely, no. Just trying to remember who's on the bench today.
I told you. You didn't hear me. That's cool, man. Thank you.
Bojanani, Bastos.
Caseido,
Well,
Felipe Anderson. Yeah, they were all strikers, and Patrick.
well, I suppose one thing we've talked about before is that it's a fairly flexible team. So, barring an injury crisis, you've got players who can cover pretty much any position. I mean, Patrick's capable of playing in the wing back positions, but also in the centre back positions. And then if you got Bastos, you got another reinforcement there. And yeah, between, if you've got Morgia, who's a more conventional central midfielder, and then Alberto can drop back there, I suppose it does at first glance look like a pretty attack-minded bench, but actually, if you think about the guys who are already on the pitch, he was probably just confident enough that they would be able to adapt, or he'd find a shape with who he's got that they'd be able to move it around a bit. Lulic as well is a guy who can move into the centre midfield. So that is one really useful thing about the group of players we've got, is how many of them are capable of moving around the pitch.
Patrick Bowman on Twitter about Inzaghi, the work he did with Anderson after the incident is great. What a transformation. Yeah, we said it. I think it's important. I think it's one thing very good of Inzaghi is in some occasions he still thinks as a player, as he retired a couple of years ago. So he understands what the players are thinking. And so maybe he knows how to react to them better than, I don't know, maybe Pioli, etc. I think one of the reasons why Inzaghi is very good is because the group, the team is all trusting him, and he knows how to work with all the players, and even the subs that doesn't play a lot with him feel part of the project, while probably with Inzaghi, with Pioli, sorry, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, I think obviously Pioli was a former player as well, but because Inzaghi's been around the club while a lot of these players have been around, and he's not that much older than a fair few of them, he probably just feels like one of the group rather than it being, a kind of hierarchy. I don't think his coaching style is very dominant, or he kind of, tries to intimidate his players or keep a distance from his players. I think he's very much trying to form a group that he's one part of rather than being the boss. And I think you can see that, for example, in the celebration tonight after Immobile scored, where he sees Inzaghi walking away and he grabs the back of his jumper, his jacket, and pushes him to try and get a hug from him because he hadn't seen him. So I think you wouldn't see somebody doing that to Sir Alex Ferguson, for example, back in the day. But I think that's a good thing, though, that he's managed to create this environment where I think you're right, where he basically understands exactly what it's like to be one of them who is going out onto the pitch.
One thing I like most is seeing Inzaghi celebrating for every Lazio goal. He's like a fan there, You can see him celebrating so much, I really like it, and you feel that he's a Lazio fan. You see Allegri, you see the other manager, they don't celebrate like that. So I really like it, and I think the fan as well likes to see a manager so passionate.
Absolutely, I love it. I mean, especially the goal against Dinamo Kiev.
I know you weren't talking about that, but
that was one of the best moments of the season. I think that was just brilliant.
Honestly, I remember the goal at the derby last season. That was great. Inzaghi was running with Ciro Immobile. I don't know if you remember. That was great. Or for example, when was it? I think against Dinamo, when he was kicking the ball like Ciro Immobile did when he scored. He's part of he's playing as well. It's great.
And Chievo as well, the late winner against Chievo, and he runs all the way down to the joins in the pylon. I think you'll find it hard to find a fan who doesn't enjoy that. And I don't think it's just for show as well. I think you do get coaches who are that kind of try and give off that kind of passionate impression, even if they're not necessarily that into it. But because he's been at the club for so long, he is, like you say, he's a fan. And so I think it's actually authentic the way he's behaving. It's not just for show.
Yes, and he said it. I'm here since 18 years now, probably. His kids are born in Rome, a Lazio fan, etc. So he feels like he's a Lazio fan, you know. So he's happy to be in this team, and he's a fan. So that's why he's celebrating that much. Alasdair, I think before you lose all your internet connection, we can wrap it up here. Do you have any important stats that you forgot to say this time?
Oh, come on, I'm not a stat machine. I've tried my best.
No, I'm telling you, because last time you didn't sleep because you forgot saying the Caicedo stat. So.
No, I mean, I'm going to struggle to find anything that good again, to be honest. I'm just a bit disappointed that it's 4 days late. But no, I mean, any Felipe Caicedo in a positive light related stats are most welcome. If anyone has any they'd like to send in, I'm determined to continue the Felipe Caicedo loving as many times as we can.
Would you start Caicedo Sunday against Udinese?
I would actually now. There haven't been many points of the season when I would say this, but given what I've seen from him in the last couple of games off the bench, I wouldn't be unhappy to see that happen. I think he could do well against Udinese, and Immobile of all players is probably the one who needs the rest the most. So I think as long as we have Ciro available to come off the bench, and even if he plays the entire second half, I think I wouldn't be too disappointed to see Caicedo start.
Yeah, I think he's playing very well in the last matches, so he deserves to have a chance, and probably it's good to give a little bit chance to Ciro to rest before the final rush that's going to be really important for Lazio. I think we can wrap it up here. Guys, thank you for following us. Remember, you can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, on Spreaker, on YouTube. Please, if you like the podcast, share it on your social platform and rate and review on iTunes. We really appreciate that. And we're going to be back next Sunday. Probably Alasdair will fix his internet connection also, maybe.
I hope so. I'm not going to be happy if it's still a problem by then.
I can imagine.
But we've made it. We found an alternative, so it's okay.
Thank you very much, Alasdair, and good night to everybody.